Lake Forest Podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Looking for the best pool supplies? Look no further than Dohany's Pool Supplies. With a history dating back to 1967, this family-owned business offers everything families need to keep their pools clean and sparkling, from chemicals to equipment. Plus, customers enjoy free shipping on all orders. Visit Dohany's Pool Supplies today at doheny.com, DOHENY.com, to learn more. Forest Bluff Real Estate Team serves Illinois, Wisconsin, Lake Forest, and Lake Bluff. John Josephitis, Laura Lee Van Fleet, and of course, Michelle Parnell. Get a free market analysis now at forestbluffrealestate.com. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Havey Communications has been helping first responders arrive safely since 1983. It's owned by Lake Forest's own Mike Havey. Check them out at haveycommunications.com. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters: Matt A., Elizabeth C., Costa, Lance, Otto, RDM, John C., and Helen. Shout out to the Lake Forest Breakfast Group, Broad Stop and Captain Mike's in Kenosha, the Greentown Tavern, and the Frolic Lounge in Waukegan. There he is. Here's Frederick.
Yeah, I can do a plug for hometown.
Hometown. Here, you want to see my hometown? There you go. See, can you see that? Do you see that?
I'm trying to support local business.
I'm trying to support myself.
Go blind doing that.
Maxwell House.
Maybe Rick. There he is.
Good morning. Sorry about that, guys.
Happy birthday to you.
Hey, Rick, did they ever give you a trustee badge in Lake Bluff?
I complained that we never did get badges, because
Did you see the Lake Forest aldermen?
Yeah, they get a badge.
The mayor, they get really cool badges.
Yeah, they get a real badge. Yeah, I'll show you what they.
That's all I ever got from Morton Grove. And I love Morton Grove. Don't get me wrong, man. I got a plaque. I got a plaque.
Ask about that. How come the Lake Forest guys, they all get badges and we don't? So when I went off the board, they were good enough to give me a badge.
Okay, I have a plaque somewhere like that from Village of Morton Grove, and but doesn't have a badge on it like you do. This was the only badge I ever got. 4 years on the village board. That's my stinking badge.
There's your badge.
I wore it like a realtor.
The badges did occasionally cause problems because every so often somebody pulls them out when they get stopped for a traffic
I think that happened with one of the Niles Township trustees.
That does not go well. Yeah.
And that's why the Morton Grove trustees didn't get a badge. Speaking of Morton Grove, they were in the news about they're buying a different building for the village hall there, but that's not why I'm bringing it up. The article about it in the Tribune is written by Dan Dorfman.
Oh, okay. Dan
Dorfman is covering Lake Forest and Morton Grove.
Yeah.
They're like, how many miles apart are these?
Quite a ways. And there's a lot of other towns between them too.
That's very local. That's very local. Rick, that badge right there, I just want to know, how many boxes of cornflakes did you have to go through?
I had Tony the Tiger, he's my personal friend after, in order to get that. They had the mayor of North Chicago at one point was using the badge to actually make traffic stops. At one point.
I hope not the current mayor that we're trying to get on the podcast here.
Not the current mayor. No.
Okay, good.
One of his predecessors.
All right. That's a future podcast. Good morning.
Good.
Shout out this morning to Hometown Coffee. I don't know if that's showing on the screen or not there.
Oh, that's very good. Yes, good.
Support a Lake Forest business. They opened up, a month or two ago on Wisconsin Avenue, right around the corner from the Lantern.
Yes.
And it's good. It's nice to have a local business in town that you can support, and they've got a nice app that you can order ahead. on, and
Lake Forest has been very fortunate in restaurants lately. For a town that, 2 years ago, a year ago, you would have said, well, Lake Forest doesn't have much in the way of restaurants. But now with the opening of Lake Colonial, Sophia Steak, the remodel of the Deer Path, you got Duffers, you can go right down a long list, and now hometown. These guys they're doing a great job locally. We're really kind of blessed now.
Yeah, it's great. There's he makes
his drinking it right out of the pot.
That's fine. If you're gonna make your own coffee, that's fine. But if you're gonna go out for coffee or food, I always try to do this in the city you live in, because you try to keep that sales tax revenue in the city.
Yes, and Lake Forest really always has had a problem with sales tax revenue. We don't have enough retail. We are very much dependent on property taxes, and it would be much to a good thing for Lake Forest if we had more sales tax revenue. That would help.
Could have had Costco.
Well, if they taught personal finance at the high school, you would know that compounding interest in that $5 cup of coffee over 50 weeks a year. Don't get me going.
Yeah, if you'd invested that money, yes, correct. Hey, if my mom,
if we followed that, though, there'd be no businesses open, Pete. So there's a balance here.
I'm not saying don't get a sandwich.
You could why don't you just buy a case of beer at the grocery store, and then you don't have to go to the bar. I mean, it's the same.
That's
principle.
True. Ever since these elections been going on, we've been in the bars more than ever. God bless, especially Sophia's. How about that little outing?
That's first of all, another great establishment. But yeah, we had a great evening Monday night. We have a new mayor.
I heard that there was a big party over at Sophia's that night. Yeah.
So your birthday, Rick. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Rick. It's the whatever anniversary of your 39th
very young 68.
68.
Oh, you look fantastic.
For my billable hours, I'm 127.
You look great.
We'll edit that out in post. Yeah, so we missed you for the birthday drink. So Lake Colonial, nah.
I have a birthday drink right now here.
They you know what? Just like me, they are an acquired taste. They're an acquired taste.
The Lake Colonial. I will tell you, I like the food. The drinks are very expensive.
Go to their happy hour. They have a happy hour. Yeah. I forgot what time it is. My wife got tipped off on that, and we go there occasionally. It's a really nice place, and they've had some nice events there for some local organizations. They have a room upstairs that people rent out. It's good. Yeah. Like I said, obviously people can't go out every meal, or they can't buy coffee every morning, or go to the bar every night. But it is good to support businesses in town any chance you have it.
You can't drink all day unless you start in the morning.
Coffee. No, only 14 hours. We went out Monday night because Mayor Tack got sworn in.
Yeah, Mayor Tack. Let's all say it together. Mayor
Tack.
The Mayor Tack.
Yeah.
And the honorable, truly honorable. And it was a family affair. Your wife Debbie was there. Your son Drew was there.
Yep.
Rick was there.
Yeah. Well, my wife Terry was there. Yes.
Oh, we didn't say hi to Terry.
Oh, yeah, Terry, and she was wearing her hat too. She was looking very nice.
I'll see if we can find a picture in the crowd, because the GoPro was going. But we want to show up and support, because you never know who wants to go up to that lectern and give their 2 cents. That's heavily discounted, but that was a nice little deal.
Yeah, our new first lady of Lake Forest, Paula Tack, there by her husband's side when he took the oath.
She held the Bible.
Wonderful lady.
Very nice.
No, it was class. It was class. Everybody, Cathy Czerniak, the finance. What's it? The finance lady.
Oh,
sitting right behind us. Oh,
yeah, boy, she's gonna be like watching this.
I just say she's
remember my name.
No, her name to me
Cathy
is
Czerniak has had a long and successful storied career with the city of Lake Forest. She's been she's been the grind.
She knows where the bodies are buried in
between
the
the
government to
city
get
and
things
the
done,
businesses.
right?
Poor Cathy has gets a lot of friction.
And that job, that position,
She's
you and I
earned
served
it.
in municipal government elsewhere. That position is
Yeah.
very, very critical.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Your business and growth and stuff. So, and she does a great. I attended the Ward 3 meeting a few weeks ago that Jim and Era, our alderman for Ward 3, did with the staff, and Cathy probably had to stand up the most to answer questions from the crowd, and she handled them all perfectly. So.
She's a true professional.
She does a great job. She's a great asset for the city of Lake Forest.
Yeah, I think very much so. I'm a big Cathy Czerniak fan.
She's even getting your cart corral in a Jewel,
but
right?
she doesn't make the policy, but she does often have to explain it.
Yeah. Pete, is she getting you your cart corral?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, she answers the phone when you call. There's no middle person, she answers the phone. Yes. And she was quick to tell me that there's nothing stopping Jules from putting the Jules to putting in the corrals. And Stephanie over at Jules said that she's talking to the higher ups, and we should know something pretty soon. She didn't want to promise anything, but it sounds like they want it too. So if there's any good that comes out of this podcast, it's the Lake Forest podcast Corral. And I want one of those.
They're going to name it after you. And one day, hopefully for not for many years, but your tombstone is going to have a cart corral engraved on it.
I tried bringing one of the carts in to return it inside. Ended up being a bit of a disaster, actually, because they're already piled up so high right to the front entrance.
And the Jewel in Libertyville has one.
In with the big carts, because they're actually two different kinds of carts. So it's cart corral is going to be a little bit more complicated than I thought.
And if you would like to have a corral at the Jewel just to move things along, because corporate only listens to numbers. Here's the petition that we have that already has a few dozen people that signed up for it. So feel free. So we did our civic duty, showed up Monday, great time. We went again to Sophia's afterwards, and Rick was missed, but I understand,
I was at Lake Colonial closing them down.
That's right. But it was nice to see Victor, Armando, Chris, the gang over at Sophia's.
The guys,
the dudes on the caucus. Good peeps. Always good.
Great steak. $74 for a New York strip. It's not cheap, but it's very good. But it is very good.
Well, it's $60 to buy it at the Jewels. Another issue that's coming up, boys, is these panhandlers.
Yeah. These beggars. It's I don't know how we Lake Forest did not have this problem until about 3 years ago. This first guy started showing up in front of poor people at Fresh Market. I feel bad for Fresh Market. I'm sure that drives people away from there.
Well, we had a few people respond. What is the law on that, Rick? Can you just?
As I understand it, and I don't want to claim to be a great expert at it, but as I understand it, it's a free speech issue. They're on public property. They're entitled to have to speak to people. You can't regulate the speech. And so they can ask for money or say, hi, how are you? They pretend that they're interested in your day. They are not interested in your day. They want money. Now there's also, however, you've seen me post from Scottsdale and Phoenix. They have signs on a lot of street corners that say it's okay to say no to panhandlers and instead direct donations to causes, organizations that provide housing for the homeless. and other services to support people. Rather than giving it to this guy on the street corner. You pay the guy to sit in the street corner, he's going to sit on the street corner. Now,
yeah, I mean, these are professional beggars. I think there's a flyer that's been passed around on the internet about the one guy that
he's got a house, he's got a boat, he's got cars, antique cars.
Yeah, our loyal listener and watcher, Cathy, she sent me an email that said, the guy's name is Robert Hunter.
Come on the podcast.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
About the guy begging out front, not disabled, not a veteran, not homeless. He's a scammer. He's selling a $30,000 car. He's got a yacht, and he's sitting in front of his Fresh Market. Need to pay taxes.
He's mostly at the Fresh Market, but then he's attracted other ones now too. So now there's one in front of the Fresh Market. Yesterday there was a guy at the corner of Deer Path
and Western.
Oakwood.
Man,
yeah.
He was playing the guitar. Was he doing like a Gordon Lightfoot tribute?
A Carefree Highway. I think.
I wouldn't have mind if he was playing Stairway, but no,
Carefree Highway.
Woody Guthrie.
I go by, there's Carefree Highway in Carefree, Arizona, right just north of Phoenix. I'm driving by. I was very sad about it. My son-in-law and daughter.
I had many a karaoke evening doing Gordon Lightfoot.
Gordon forgot the name.
But I took a picture, cop car went by, and I'm like, couldn't you just do a little slow roll by at least to make it uncomfortable, I guess, but he can't do that.
He can't do that. The first, I mean, look, when they're on the public right of way, now if they're on private property, the owner of the property can kick them out. But if they're on public property, look, I've worked downtown Chicago and went to school in Chicago at Loyola. So I've been seeing this for years, and you ride the Metro train downtown. They'll even come into the Metro train sometimes in Union Station, and they'll have the same story. It'd be like, "Oh, I just need $5 more to get I lost my ticket to get home to Libertyville. Can you give me $5 or whatever?" And it's the and one time I actually said to the guy, "Funny, you lost your ticket last week, bud." I mean, it's the same thing, and like people, and I don't mean to demean. There are people out there with problems and there are people with mental illness, and homelessness is a problem.
And this is Mental Health Awareness Month, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But as we said earlier, and Rick, you pointed out that sign, and I think the city, the village of Vernon Hills, I sent you, Pete, that link.
Yes, they have a link.
They have a thing on their webpage about panhandling and how to deal with it. But there are many great organizations like PADS here in Lake County that does stuff for the homeless.
Yes.
My church.
There's no reason why the city of Lake Forest can't create a sign posted on in front of Fresh Market saying, it's okay to say no to panhandlers. If you want to donate, please give money to PADS, and you can they can put the little QR code right on the sign.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's some people that get upset about that, saying we're being cruel and insensitive. We're not. There is, like I said, there are ways to deal with the problem. There are appropriate organizations so that they can help truly who needs the help, and not just some guy like this. What was his name?
Robert Hunter. Look, if you don't want
Robert Hunter, come on the podcast. Let's talk. Come on, man.
Oh God,
we'll get him on before we get the transparency group.
Hey, if you don't want bums on the corner, this is me saying it. If you don't want bums on the corner, don't give him money.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So
he's guy is sitting in front of a help wanted sign. I mean, there's been a sign, Fresh Market looking to hire people. The guy's sitting in front of the sign.
What did Michael Jordan say to Charles Barkley when they were going into a McDonald's once with the homeless guy? Did you ever hear that story?
No.
He goes, you can say, "Do you want fries with that?" just as easily as you can ask for a quarter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
So.
Or take.
I think number one, the guy probably makes more money.
There are people that are legitimately homeless, and there are people that with mental illness, and sometimes these people are mentally ill. But this is not the way to help them. There are proper ways to help, to get the proper help, and don't perpetuate the problem by giving them money, whether it's here, whether it's downtown Chicago. I know they're outside of Wrigley Field a lot during Cubs games. So wherever it is, Metro trains, just
pay people
say no.
to sit on the corner and beg. People will sit on the corner and beg.
Yeah,
people will do whatever you pay them to do.
You don't want bums on the street corners? How about, can they have one of those trash cans with the fire in it? Is that what you want, Lake Forest? Keep paying these dudes. All right. So that's me being insensitive. All right, going down the list. Oh man, backlash. The superintendent, Matt Montgomery, he cuts support staff, and then they tear up his contract, and he gets a 40% raise.
Give him a giant raise, and he fires a bunch of the low-level people. Ooh.
That's not bueno.
All right. Former school board member here.
Really? Where? Niles Township?
Yeah, I was District 219. We went through I think in the 8 years I was on the board, I think we had 5 superintendents. We went through superintendents like the Bears go through quarterbacks. And there's a long
Rusty
story
Lish
behind
is now working for them.
No, but I don't mean to demean Dr. Montgomery personally. He seems like a good guy, and certainly Lake Forest.
He personally cost us $1,000, and he got a raise.
I mean,
he took money out of my pocket and put it in his.
You know, there's a phrase we use in politics, and in public administration.
Yeah, that sucks.
Called bad optics.
Yeah,
and this is really bad optics.
Yeah.
That the ink wasn't even dry on the clerk signing the resolution that the referendum had passed.
Yeah, Vince Vega has barely done that. Yeah.
These pay raises in and all this. And you know, again, I respect the work of professional educators, and I served on a school board. I see individual staff's dedication out there, and there's a lot of good teachers working at Lake Forest High School. But you know, I mean,
they took money out of our pocket.
Only passed by 125
took money
votes.
out of the teachers' aides, the library aides.
Yeah,
and put it.
What's that all
where does
about?
he live?
Again, he came on the podcast when he wanted the
we helped him get the
votes
money
for the referendum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we helped him get the money,
and he was did a very nice job, very articulate, did a great
come back
good
on.
salesman.
Come back on. And look, I was a school board member for 8 years. You guys had the Philippe and Jeff on another show,
yes,
and stuff. And you know, they had an interesting point talking about the school boards. There is this whole thing. I went to the Illinois Association of School Boards convention, and I went to the National School Board Convention once, and I stopped going because all they did at these conventions was they'd have seminars on how to work together as a team and support, you know, and basically they said what these guys are telling now is our job is to support the superintendent, and our job is to be unified. And then they have seminars on how to pass tax referendums. And they have and Lake Forest did a great job of following what they learned in the seminar.
They played us,
and it's, you know, and maybe there was a legitimate need. I don't mean to debate that. Look, the building is old, and there are things that needed to be fixed. But maybe, you know, I don't even want to get the referendums passed, so that train's left.
But why tear up his contract?
But yeah, it just looks really bad, and so I want to extend this.
Doesn't look bad. It is bad.
I want to extend this invitation to every member
Add him
of
to the
the
list.
school board.
Yeah,
every elected member of the school board, because you're an elected official in this community. Just as I was never afraid to give an interview when I was on the school board, and other school board members didn't like that. But you're an elected official. You're obligated to answer to your residents. So come on the podcast. Let's talk it out. Maybe you got an explanation that we're missing, and let's hear it out. And if you truly believe in what you're doing, you have no hesitation to come on here.
Yeah, why can't you come on to defend it?
How can you? What's he going to say? Because look, it's not optics. It happened. He used us to say, hey, we need help with the repairs. Well, if you need, what did he do to pitch in? Other than tear up his contract, he had a contract that had to go another year or two, whatever the hell it is, right? Tears it up. Oh, by the way, I'm going to lay off some of the library aides, these 20 grand a year positions.
And aren't they coming into a collective? I believe they're coming into a collective bargaining agreement renegotiation time. In other words, the teachers union contract is going to expire now. When I was on the board in the 90s, 1996, we had a 2-week strike at Niles Township High School. A lot of people blame that strike on me, but that's a whole show.
Just because you did it.
But you're going into a contract negotiation, and you just gave the superintendent a big raise. So if you don't give the teachers union a big raise,
don't the teachers
the
get
same
a 20% raise too?
They're going to walk. They're going to walk out. And we had a strike in Lake Forest, I think, like 10 years ago.
Oh,
but
according to Brincat, it was very divisive. It was very unfortunate. It was
according to Brincat and Philippe, not only did Montgomery give himself a nice 40 grand to himself, the other administrators, I believe, got upwards of 18% raise. So what I'm gathering allegedly on those people, because I don't know, I know what Montgomery got. I know what I didn't get. These administrators got a raise of 18% to keep them happy. So to get through this bargaining thing. Does that sound
18%?
Right? Yeah.
Who else gets an 18% pay raise these days? What other job gets an 18%
Montgomery.
pay raise? Seriously. This is the disconnect. Yeah. Again, former school board member and
Niles Township.
District 219.
Well, it'd be nice to get somebody local here. Actually, maybe we should get my buddy Ted Mormon on. He used to be on the school board here.
But my whole point is, this is the disconnect that public education administrators have from reality. That you're giving yourself through a rubber stamp Board of Education.
Screwed us.
And Board of Education members, come on this podcast and prove me wrong that you're not a rubber stamp. Okay? But you're giving yourselves a pay raise higher than anyone else is getting these days. My gosh. Come on. And you just raised everybody's taxes?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
And you cut the 20 grand people. Cut them.
This is why, you know what this is? This is why Illinois is the highest taxed state per family, per capita. I forgot the exact term they use in the country. If you take all the taxes that we pay, Illinois families pay the highest percentage of their family income in taxes compared to any other state. And not so coincidentally, this is also the state with the highest outbound migration rate. Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's not coincidental.
So hello, this is exactly why Illinois is failing.
More public bodies, more elected officials and more public bodies than any other state by a lot.
Well, that's a whole other show too.
Twice as many as California, for God's sake.
Yeah, when I was on the high school board for Niles Township District 219. We had 9 elementary school districts feeding into that 2 high school districts. Some of those school districts were literally one building.
This is what Lake Bluff is. Lake Bluff Elementary is a single group school system. They have an administrator, and they then feed into Lake Forest High School. Now, Lake Forest High School is about 2/3, maybe more than that, from Lake Forest. About 1/3 or a little less than that from Lake Bluff. Lake Bluff has its own separate administration, its own separate system. I don't think that's really in the best interest of the kids.
No, because you're paying a superintendent, an assistant superintendent, a business manager, and all those pensions and health benefits and stuff. There's a lot of we need good teachers. Okay, good teachers are essential, and there are a lot of great teachers at Lake Forest High School. So I don't want to make it sound like, I know there's some people out there that are all doom and gloom about teachers and stuff. I'm not one of those people. Okay, I do think nationally or statewide, we need to look at school choice as an option. Now, again, if we had school choice in Illinois, like states like Florida do, I think most people here would still choose Lake Forest High School because it's a great high school.
Yeah.
So, but that said, here locally, there has to be some balance of fiscal responsibility. People put their yes vote into this. What would the results be today if they knew that these raises would have been passed right after that referendum? I bet you 125 people who voted yes would have voted no.
Yeah, it might well have been a difference. Yes, I've never seen Lake Forest or Lake Bluff turn down an education referendum. I don't know that it's ever happened.
My understanding, looking at the precinct,
this was the closest that I've seen. My
understanding, looking at the precinct by precinct totals, it did well in Lake Forest and it failed in Lake Bluff. That's interesting.
That is interesting. Yes, that is.
But that's also, that's a credit to the city of Lake Forest and how it's been run, that, the municipal taxes in Lake Forest are pretty low. We've talked about that on previous shows. Randy Tack talked about it when he was running, that, our municipal taxes are, the city government here is run very, very well. You got a lot of business people involved in that and run it like a business.
And then also, they don't have the one thing Lake Forest has that, for example, Lake Bluff and many of the communities around here do not, is more of a unified government. The library board is under the city council. The Parks and Rec is part of the city council, part of the city. Whereas Lake Bluff, you have a whole separate elected body for Parks and Rec. You got a whole separate elected body for library. It's a very inefficient system, and it promotes these kinds of problems that we're talking about with the school board, in that you have a school board that is overly influenced by its employees, and not
and it's the tail wagging the dog.
Well, getting to that point,
the community should decide the direction of the school, not the
getting to your point, staff. Rick. A point was made.
Yes. I got a point.
The parent. the parents' care guys, Philippe and Jeff, they pointed out that Montgomery sits in the middle of the board.
It's rather than being the sitting with the other employees, he sits with the board as if he's a member of the board.
Yeah, and I sat after that. You guys brought that up the other night. I thought back to my days on both the school board and the village board, and you're right. The school district, we always had the superintendent sit in the center with the board president. But then when I got on the village board, it's like the Lake Forest City Council, where the administrator sits off to the side, and it's just the mayor in the center, and then the alderman. And so it's interesting that there's a difference in municipal government versus school government that may not be unique to Lake Forest, that's the culture. And again, I went to some of these Illinois Association school board conventions and stuff, and I walked away disgusted. I was like, they basically trained them to not do anything. So it was what the whole seminar was. Let's not do anything except pass tax referendums.
But look, you can go to Japan, China, culturally where you sit matters. Okay. And you're sitting with the people that are going to influence your raise, and it seems like you have power over them. You're the employee. Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but Lake Forest High School only has 1,400 kids at it. I don't know how many kids are in 67. Is he one of the most well-paid administrators working at the lowest head count?
I haven't looked at the chart. There used to be a chart of all that stuff, and I think the Illinois Policy Institute and some of those groups
they have a list. We'd
have to pull it up.
The highest paid pensioners, and
I can tell you back
our
in the
former
day,
administrator is on that list of highly paid retired administrators.
Yeah, I mean, and the pension thing is that's a whole other show. But when we had the strike in '96 in District 219, they at the time were the highest paid teachers in the state, and they were given a contract proposal by the board that would have kept them at the highest paid as the highest paid teachers in the state, and they still went on strike. So, and again, this is not Niles Township, and things have changed in 25 years in Niles Township. But that said, I think there needs to be a reality check here. Again, we want good schools, and like I said, I respect the teachers. All my interactions with Lake Forest High School teachers have been very positive. I think there's a disconnect with the administration and the board.
How can you trust any of them people, man? How can you? That's the biggest screw job I've seen. That's me saying it, okay? Because look, I tried to help the guy. He came on. I said, all right. Yeah. He reminds me of the guy in Deer Path and Western with his cup playing the guitar. Okay, well, here I'll put a couple. Dr. Montgomery,
you seem like a decent guy.
Oh yeah,
come on the show again. Let's talk. School board members, all the district school board members, your elected officials accountable to the community. Come on the show. Let's talk it out.
You know what I want to know is I want to hear from the voters. Why the hell didn't you come out? You're paying between $500 and $1,000 a year for this thing. Why didn't you vote? It was only 7,000, less than half.
Well,
right?
I think we do elections backwards. So everybody comes out for the most unimportant election. That's the presidential election.
Yeah,
your vote for
really
president,
no say at all. Yeah,
especially in Illinois. Let's be honest with
ourselves. Our electoral
Illinois
votes
is
are
not
all
a swing
decided.
state.
Yeah.
Illinois hasn't been a swing state in decades.
No.
So no matter who wins the electoral college, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, the Democratic nominee for president is going to win Illinois. And I always tell my Republican friends that if by chance the Republican presidential nominee has a chance in Illinois that year, it's because he or she is winning 40 other states, and it really doesn't matter because they've already locked up the 270 electoral votes. So, but everybody comes out in droves. They got to have cops directing traffic to vote in the presidential election when your vote is meaningless, and then they vote down, and then because they're coming out to vote out Donald Trump or whatever, they vote out local elected officials that have absolutely no connection to Donald Trump one way or the other, and that screws up some of our county and state government. But they come out in droves for that. But what's the lowest turnout election?
Municipal elections.
Yeah, and what has the most direct effect on your life?
Municipal elections. That's what's actually most important to you.
Look, the referendum only passed by 125 votes. If you sat out this election this past April, shame on you.
Yeah.
Shame on you. You should be voting in that election and not the presidential election. You should vote in all elections. Let me be clear. I voted in every election since I turned 18. But if you're gonna pick and choose which elections to vote in the local one.
Yeah, the local one is where you actually make a difference.
But because you don't see it on CNN or MSNBC or Fox or whatever internet,
you might as well go to Facebook in one of those chat rooms and go yell in there.
I'm often amazed. I'll tell you, when I've been doing running for office, I have run into a number of people who just tell me, "Oh, we only vote for national elections. We only follow national politics. We don't follow Illinois or local politics at all." I go like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I mean, the national politics you have no control over. You have no impact whatsoever. In the state of Illinois, you might actually be able to make some small difference. This state,
some of these elections are decided by one or two votes.
Troubled. I got to tell you, yesterday the ComEd 4 got convicted and that was one of the best things I've seen in Illinois ever. Unfortunately, it's never the voters who throw these crooks out. It's always the feds, and it's never the county state's attorney that investigates them or the Illinois Attorney General that investigates them. It's always only the feds. What kind of a system is this? Where the only way that we get any kind of chance at, the only enforcement for honest government is not the voters, but rather is the federal prosecutor. he is the sole way of getting people like Mike Madigan out of power. What a black stain on democracy.
I mean, Rick,
really
you ran for state
Yes.
representative in 2018 against
2018,
Bob Morgan.
Yes, correct.
Who
yes.
had been brought in by the Madigan team to replace Scott Drury, one of the few Democrats who spoke out against Mike Madigan when speaking out against Mike Madigan wasn't cool.
Right.
And
what
so
happened
they forced Drury out, and they ended up running for attorney general and getting clobbered in the primary.
Never heard from since.
And Rick, I give you all the props in the world. You didn't stand a chance in that election, unfortunately, because of that district went into Highland Park where they vote blue no matter who.
Yeah.
And
Northbrook too. Yeah.
And Northbrook.
And he
has a 10-cent bag tax now.
Madigan gave him plenty of money.
Yeah, and he took lots of money, and then all of a sudden, and I spent a lot of time. They all like, oh no, we voted to get rid of Madigan. No, you didn't. You voted how many times for him over the years?
Yeah, only once the feds were already at the door.
By a Republican appointed U.S. attorney, I might add.
Wow.
Well, these voters, here everywhere we go, you guys probably hear the same thing. Number one question is, how do you keep that sign lighted around your neck? Number two, I never knew about that till I watched the show, right? So, look, just because you don't know the law doesn't mean you have to follow it. I believe that's how it goes, Rick. So, but I think we make it a little bit more fun where people will pay attention and learn.
I'll tell you another thing about the Madigan thing. One good point, and what I really like, we bring us back to Lake Forest. That meeting the other night, there were 3 elected officials departing that were, had served out their terms. Mayor Panhandler and two aldermen.
Yeah.
Lake Forest has term limits, and I think that's a really good thing because look, I can name 3 elected officials in this state that held their office for 50 years. Mike Madigan, Ed Burke, and Nick Blaze, the mayor of Niles. All of them were in office for 50 years. Guess what also happened to all of them?
All of them.
Criminally charged. Indicted. All 3 of them have been indicted. Nick Blaze ended up in jail. Yeah. And I'm pretty certain Mike Madigan and Ed Burke will as well. Yeah. My point, I think this term limit thing is a really good thing because I think even very well-intentioned people, that's why I served 8 years on the 219 board and then 4 on the Morton Grove board. And then I was out. I was done because I think that people think after a while, very well-intentioned people.
There should be limits on these things. Yeah.
I'll take the other side. From what I've seen, term limits are good. Look at Vega. Okay. Whoever left before him, he got dropped in, no clue what's going on. And he's like, all right, I got to get 100 locations in 90 days. Okay.
Or he came on and explained it at least.
Yeah, he did.
But it's true. It's because county clerk, we've had a
lot of churn.
We've had changes. We had like 4 in the last 10 years.
Okay, let's keep it local, hyper-local, going back to the caucus, Lake Forest Caucus, they have term limits too. So you have this old new meeting where, I got to leave. The people that know everything leave, and these people come in, don't know anything. Then you have a small group of people on the executive board, at least how it used to be, that would control the influence of everybody else because you had a third of these people that don't know squat.
Yeah.
So there's got to be like a happy medium, increase the term limits or something.
But I think that's right. I think there is a happy medium there. I mean, yes, you do want to have some institutional memory, but you also you don't want to let people get entrenched in these positions to the point where they stifle anybody else from being involved. And yes, it is a balancing. I think 2 terms, 3 terms, whatever number you want to put on it. I think 8 years should be enough for most of these positions. Okay, fine. Make it 3 terms such that you 12 years. Because yes, the problems arise when you have guys like Mike Madigan who are able to monopolize the power and stay there for 50 years.
Well, how about this? There's 43 on the caucus, right? And it's hard to find volunteers. So if you want to do the term limits, then you got to reduce the size. You know, why is it 9 per ward? Why isn't it based on population households? Great, it was 80 something years ago, 90 years ago, but maybe that needs to be looked at to kind of bring it down a little bit. It's better to have a few more passionate people that show up regularly than twice as many people that show up half the time and don't give a crap.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And I will say the caucus in particular, there's been a lot of turnover, and there's an organization that, and I think they're going to have to really re-examine the bylaws at this time.
Well, they will.
Yeah, I think there's a difference. I think elected officials, there should be a very hard term limit on, which we have. The committee, the caucus committee, maybe there needs to be a reexamination of it in terms of keeping some institutional knowledge, because it seems like it's a totally different show. That said, you know, again, part of Madigan's power wasn't his elected office. It was that he was also the Illinois Democratic Party.
Yes, he was chairman of the Illinois Democratic Party.
So he controlled, which controls a lot of stuff. The discounted postage for all the mailers and stuff, which is a big power thing. So, you know, you have to be careful. You don't want someone that is in charge. You don't want a Mike Madigan in the Lake Forest Caucus. You know, you don't want somebody that's there forever. That is, you have to go kiss the ring if you want to be anything in this city. And there is no one like that right now, which is good. No. But that, so there's a delicate balance here of term limits and maintaining institutional knowledge.
Yeah. So it is, and I do, however, want to go back to my point earlier. I don't understand why only the federal government can investigate these types of corruption.
Well, it's funny because when Lisa Madigan ran for Attorney General in 2002, it was in the shadow of the George Ryan scandal. And there's a great quote out there where she said she would go after corruption anywhere in state government, including her father. Well, that proved to be completely false.
All this crap was going on right on her nose. Oh, what? I don't see anything.
And the late great Judy Bartopinka will tell you a story of one of the reasons Illinois state government is in such horrible financial shape today is because they had this thing when Blagojevich was governor and Madigan was speaker called a pension funding holiday. Because so that they could balance the state budget, they stopped funding the pensions for like 5 or 6 years, I think it was.
Yeah.
It later resulted in the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, charged them with fraud for that, and we've still never really recovered from that. And the only person screaming bloody murder about it at the time was Judy Bartopinka when she was the state treasurer, and nobody listened to her, unfortunately. And she made a very good point at the time. Lisa Madigan as the Attorney General is the state's legal counsel, basically the state's lawyer, and she okayed this pension funding holiday that was later ruled by the Security and Exchange Commission to be fraud. So she was either complicit with her father on this fraud, or she was negligent in her duties. Either way, I'm glad she's no longer the Attorney General.
Yeah. I was very glad to see that the current acting U.S. attorney was addressing that Illinois has an endemic corruption problem. This is not a new thing. This was not an aberration. This is the way business has been done in Illinois forever. And that's the essence of the problem. I don't know how you really root out that level of corruption. When you look at the number of Chicago aldermen who have been indicted, the number of state representatives, the Illinois state representatives who have been indicted and gone to prison over the years, this is not a normal thing. Other states don't suffer from this problem. I don't know how we solve
we roll in Chicago.
Yeah.
Are you saying New York City? There's no problems there?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure that.
The Speaker of the House in New York State went to jail for the same stuff that Madigan's going to probably go to jail for. So
look, the more interactions you have, the greater the population, the greater the likelihood of occurrence of this crap. And the other thing, getting back to local, is I did have a bunch of people that said, hey man, thanks for doing what we all did during the mayoral election, because they were so happy all this crap that's going around outside of Lake Forest, we didn't let it come into Lake Forest. So I don't know how many people told you that.
I've had several people send me private Facebook messages.
Yeah.
I get, thanks to your podcast now, Pete, I go into the
Our
jewels
podcast.
and people come up. I go into the jewels and people, one, they ask where the hell the cart corral is, but then two, they thank me for saying what I said during the mayoral election.
Well, it's also cancellations, or the cancel culture, the pendulum swinging back the other way, but there's still a little bit out there where you have to fear for what you say because of your business or whatever your standing in society. And it's rough getting a group of people that could come on and just shoot it straight. So I'm glad it's that's what we have on here. And anybody that tries to influence somebody, whether it's money, whether it's a job, it should be rooted out and tossed to the side of the road. Okay, I'm up to here on the politics. Let's give some kudos out to Mr. John Walker, the new rugby coach at Lake Forest College.
Yeah.
I know nothing about rugby. We did that podcast with the hockey coach. As little as I knew about hockey, that's more than I know about rugby. So if you get him on the podcast, I don't know what I can ask him.
Well, Coach Steve for the hockey podcast will put a link right here. And John is obviously the brother of our buddy Scoo Walker. And he's been doing rugby. John's been doing rugby
Walker, right?
For a long time. My nephews were coached by him, and solid dude. I believe he's the Mothers Against Drunk Driver guy too.
Yes.
So
he's done an excellent job with that group too. Yes.
Good guy.
The Walker family is really into local sports here in Lake Forest. Great for them, huh? Yeah. Does Scoo announce their games too, or
he may? But
how do you announce a rugby game? I don't even know.
Right. I don't know if I've ever seen rugby played.
Let's all go. Let's all go to a game. Come on.
Let's see one of the games. We'll do a field trip.
When we were in Sophia's the other night, I want to give a shout out to Jackie in the athletic department. She's at the corner of the bar and she said, "Hey, what the hell are all these people doing here at Sophia's on a Monday night?" I said, "It's a Lake Forest podcast." That's what
tip your waitress, please.
Yeah. Try the veal. And we were talking, and we were going through Coach Cat, the coach at the football team at Lake Forest College, and all the great things that he has done. And there's quite the Arizona contingency that's leaving Arizona to come to Lake Forest. And it's quite a wonderful thing. And I promised that we would all go to a tailgate at Lake Forest College this next football season. So Jackie, I will come to a tailgate. You come on the show. We're looking forward.
When's homecoming? Let's find out when homecoming is. We'll go to the homecoming.
Jackie, please let us know. Come on the show. We got to.
What I love is when the high school has their homecoming, and when the college has their homecoming, the whole downtown is lined with the flags.
Yes.
For that we never had that anywhere else I've lived, Glenview or Skokie or any of that. So that's a great community spirit to see that support for the high school and the college.
And the college, because Lake Forest is a college town. I mean, it's
you see them. You see a lot of them at Duffers and Lantern and Chiefs. You see the sweatshirts and the jackets and stuff. So it's great. Casey Urlacher, now the mayor of Mattawa, home of the Costco that Lake Forest should have had, is a Lake Forest College alum. I believe he played football there, right?
My father-in-law was a Lake Forest College alum too. Yes.
Yeah. I think Senator Susan Garrett is a Lake Forest College alum, so maybe she can come on and talk about her time at Lake Forest College.
And we've had a loyal listener watcher. Don't know if he wants his name said or not, so I'll keep it off till I can find out. But with all the rains that we had, there's been a lot of cancellations on the grass fields. So it's a good thing that we have the turf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that we're going turf. Yeah, the turf thing, my initial reaction was what? But I've kind of gotten swayed over by the arguments. Yes, it would be much more reliable as a playing surface than mud and grass.
And my understanding is the way they make these turfs now, it's not the old AstroTurf from the 70s and 80s. That if you go to we were on vacation a few years ago in Dallas and took a tour of the Cowboys stadium, and they had the different turfs that they roll out. They have a different turf for NFL games versus college games that they roll it on and off, and you touch it and it's not. I was expecting it to be like this really like those floor mats that people have in front of their house, really really rough. It's not that bad. I mean, is it just like grass? No. But the technology has improved a lot that it's not as bad, And again, these are sports like soccer, right? I mean, so it's not. I mean, tackle football might be a little different, but soccer and baseball, and I don't know what other sports they're playing on this turf. Forgive me that I'm not as an expert on this as some folks, but. It will probably be better in the long run, and they made it some environmentally friendly turf as well. I think Era was talking about that at the ward meeting, Era Gushgarian. So I think that's the best scenario, because who I had little kids playing sports back in the day. Who wants to get rained out? It's no fun. You want to play.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah, exactly. So it is much more reliable, and if it allows them to have more games, great. Let's give it a try, and we'll see how well it works. If they have to replace it after 10 years, I don't know how popular that's going to be, but it also will depend on the cost.
And all the people that are crying about the plastic, look in your right hand and see if you got a water bottle planted in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There
you go. Yeah.
We had that presentation the other night about the environmental, whatever it was, committee by the
sustainability
Rummel. Yeah. I do recycle my plastic when I'm done drinking the bottled water, just for the record.
at the Costco, from the Costco in Midtown.
Yeah, from the Costco. It is. It's a Kirkland water bottle.
Kirkland,
all you got to do every time you go to Costco, look at all the cars with the Lake Forest City sticker in the window and think, this could have been east of the tollway instead of west of the toll. All right, I'll stop.
Well, you have a nice administration building now.
It's a different administration now. I'm not blaming any of the current elected officials in Lake Forest for that.
Yeah.
There was a problem. There was an issue. The Army Corps of Engineers,
the Flat Earth Society was against it. I mean,
they never did approve it on this side of the tollway.
Joe, you would have been a great cornerback the way you backpedal.
So Scoot says I name drop. You say I backpedal.
Whatever. Hey. We are equal opportunity.
Well, that's why we have term limits. The guys that were in charge of the city back in 2005, when this whole Costco thing went down, they're long gone.
No, they haven't gone too far.
They're still here, but they're not on the board.
Not on the board. No.
We thank you all for watching another riveting episode of the Lake Forest Podcast. The Lake Forest Podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Looking for the best pool supplies? Look no further than Dohany's Pool Supplies. With a history dating back to 1967, this family-owned business offers everything families need to keep their pools clean and sparkling, from chemicals to equipment. Plus, customers enjoy free shipping on all orders. Visit Dohany's Pool Supplies today at doheny.com, DOHENY.com, to learn more. Forest Bluff Real Estate Team serves Illinois, Wisconsin, Lake Forest, and Lake Bluff. John Josephitis, Laura Lee Van Fleet, and of course, Michelle Parnell. Get a free market analysis now at forestbluffrealestate.com. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Havey Communications has been helping first responders arrive safely since 1983. It's owned by Lake Forest's own Mike Havey. Check them out at haveycommunications.com. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters: Matt A., Elizabeth C., Costa, Lance, Otto, RDM, John C., and Helen. Shout out to the Lake Forest Breakfast Group, Broad Stop and Captain Mike's in Kenosha, the Greentown Tavern, and the Frolic Lounge in Waukegan.